Hello guys, and we're here today with another very awesome deck profile. This is Mermails. They are getting new support in Bosch. They're getting the new Atlantean, which helps out the Atlantean support that you run in Mermails. As far as the deck actually being able to withstand pendulums, I cannot say for certain if they'll actually be able to stand up to it. But this is definitely, they do have access to a lot of good cards. I mean, Notice is generic, Twin Twist is generic, all those cards hurt the pendulums, but they also have access to the Atlanteans, being able to pop a face up and a face down. Really great for getting rid of pendulums. And this deck does have great chance to OTK, and there's also ability of teching in this deck. I do want to point out real quick that Abyss Pike can search out Gradles. They can search out the Gradle monsters, the monsters that when they're destroyed they can take control of an opponent's monster. This guy can search them out, so there is a variety of tech. There is a build out there that might be able to withstand pendulums. Hopefully this is this build. I cannot say for certain because, well, this is a very old deck and it's been power creeped many times, but it has at the same time been able to consistently top despite that. So we'll just have to find out and see after Bosch gets released if this deck can stand up to pendulums. So of course we're running 3 Megalo and 3 Abyssius. These are the guys that you want, so that way you can summon them out and make your rank 7 plays. And it pretty much triggers all of your destruction cards. So he will require 2 water monsters that you can discard, and then you can search out an Abyss File trap card from your deck, so that's really good. This helps with floating. And Abyssius will search out a low for a lower Mermail monster when you summon it. You only have to discard 1, so that's really good. Do note in this effect, chain links and mandatory effects. This guy's a mandatory effect. This is not a mandatory effect. The Atlanteans, I believe, are all mandatory, so they will always be chain link 1 unless you're activating multiples of them, in which case you get to choose which mandatory effect goes first, and that's really important, especially with Notice. If you don't want this guy to be negated, if you don't want him to be destroyed by a Notice, you can set Marksman as chain link 2, really good, but you cannot set Megalo as chain link 1 and Marksman as chain link 2 because he is an optional effect. This guy has to resolve, this guy has to be chain link 1, he would have to be a higher chain link. So just note how the chaining works and how you can use that to your advantage. That's very important with cards like Notice about to come out and just being able to really destroy us. But then again, if they wanted to Notice, they could just negate the effect activating in hand. Atlantean Dragoons is very good because if it is sent to graveyard to activate a water monster effect, and you can do this more than once per turn, you can add a sea serpent type monster from your deck to hand, such as him and your Atlanteans, yes, all of your Atlanteans, and Deep Sea Diva. So that is very useful. He can search out a lot of our good cards and whatnot. We only run 1 Abyss Turge because he adds from graveyard, and so if you open up with him, he's of course dead because you have no cards in your graveyard. But he is definitely very useful to just trigger out our other Atlanteans and to add back our Abyss Guns or our other Atlanteans. Abyss Pike, as I said, will search out a level 3 water monster from your deck, such as the Gradles, or as Abyss Gun, Lindy, which you wouldn't want to search, or any of your Atlantean monsters. So if you need to get to that Net Abyss, then that is a way to get there. Lindy is our floater. If she's destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can summon out a Mermail monster from your deck. Any Mermail monster, you can summon out him or him and then trigger their effects to get back land or search land or get whatever. Or you can get out Megalo and have a 24 beater or Abyssius. They will not get their effects to search, but they are definitely good walls. And only 2 Abyss Guns because, again, when you open up, if you open up with her, she just clocked because you have no cards in your graveyard. If it is discarded to the graveyard, which is partly why this card isn't so good, but if it is discarded to the graveyard, you target 1 Mermail monster from the graveyard and special summon that target. Really great if you've summoned a Megalo or summoned a Abyssius and then it left the field, you summon out another one and then you can summon out that other one and boom, now you have a rank 7 play. So very useful. Marksman, when he is sent to activate a water monster effect, you can target a set card and pop it. Heavy Infantry will target a face-up card and pop it, but I do want to point out that Atlantean Marksman, if he inflicts battle damage, you can summon out a level lower Sea Serpent Atlantean monster, so that's pretty much either your Heavy Infantry, your Atlantean Dragoons, or your Neta Abyss, so definite utility there. 2 Max Seas. Deep Sea Diva, because it's a tuna, and it can search out and summon out or Atlantean Prince, so it's kind of like a 1-for-1 except maybe better. Probably should be running 1-for-1 as well. But just very useful being able to summon out your Atlantean Prince, and then you can use her effect, which allows you to send 1 Atlantean monster to the graveyard as cost, and you can add Atlantean monsters such as heavy infantry or marksman or another dragoon if you really wanted to. And that is pretty much it. That's the main point there, because then you get Dragoon's effect to search and for this guy, and then you have either heavy infantry or marksman, and you're only one card away from being able to summon them out. But it also has the other effect that if it is sent to the graveyard to activate a water monster effect, so if you use it to summon this guy out or this guy out, or use this guy's effect to tribute a face-up attack decision water monster, so it can make 2 attacks, it will summon out an Atlantean monster from your graveyard, such as Dragoons, who, as I said, can use this effect more than once. So if you open up with like 2 of these, or you open up with this and then Deep Sea Diva, you can summon the Deep Sea Diva, summon this, use this effect, send this, search this, and then if you have the other one in hand and you just use this card to get rid of this and then search out, let's say, Marksman, you can use him, send him, pop a card, summon out Dragoons, and then use his effect to attack twice, use Dragoon's effect to search out another Sea Serpent, such as another Megalo, or one of your other cards. And then of course you also have her on the field and Deep Sea Diva on the field, so you could go for some rank 3 plays and thus into a rank 7 possibly. Do note that you can only use this guy's effect, her effects, oh no, actually it's a guy because it's a prince, once per turn each of them. So unlike Dragoons where you can use it more than once per turn, you can only use her effect once per turn. Both of them once per turn. Instant Fusion is of course just good here because we have some level 4 monsters. We have a level 3 tuner that is very easily made, so it has great access, just being able to summon out whatever we need. Regeki is Regeki, just helps with OTKs and whatnot. 3 upstarts for more consistency. Salvage is very, very useful in this deck. Just adding back our Net Abyss or Deep Sea Divas or our heavy infantry and our marksmen just so we can pop more cards is definitely very useful. Twin Twister, this deck already has a lot of destruction as it is, but this definitely helps out. It's just that you need these water monsters so much to actually go off that it sometimes seems like your only targets to use this card for are like salvage, and it's like I don't want to give up a salvage. But definitely if you have a Lindy in hand, that is definitely a good target, or one of the Abyss Pikes in hand. But if you use it and you cannot summon out one of these guys, well then that kind of sucks. Abyss Sphere is just pretty much a floater card. You search it off of Abyss Megalo, who will get this card, and then it will summon out a Mermail monster from the deck, and during the end phase, during your opponent's next end phase, it will be destroyed. And so you can then, so you're supposed to summon out Lindy, and then Lindy will be destroyed, and then you can summon out Megalo. Or if you want to, you can just directly summon out Megalo, have a 24 wall during your opponent's turn, or just go for an easy rank 4 play. And then of course, notice and warning, this deck doesn't pay any life, so it can easily afford the 6,500 life. More than this, that's a major portion of a player's life, so you're probably not going to be able to activate all 3 of these, but if you open up all 4 of these, but if you do open up with all 4 of these, then you're in a good position. Let's just hope you don't get Denko Seka. Well, you can warning the Denko Seka. Let's just hope something doesn't happen. And so yeah, just all of these cards just to increase our stun power and the whatnot. And that is it for the main deck pretty much. It's a lot of combos, a lot of different stuff you can do. You really have to understand this deck, how to play for it, figure out what you want to search, what you want to add to hand. Do note though with Marksman that when he targets a set card, if it flips face up and stays face up, it will not be destroyed. So it's just when facing DDDs and their Witch and their arrows, just know it's just like Alucard, Elder Entity Norden is a thing in this deck. Because again, as I said, rank 4s and level 2 tuner that can be made into Tatsunoku, which is awesome in this deck, really helps out. You will not get the effects because like if you use him as a synchro material, which you shouldn't be, but they wouldn't get the effect as like activating a water monster. Gundy might get her effect if you synchro summon because she is technically being discarded. I'm not sure if it's discarded or sent. It probably is considered sent, so I don't think Gundy will get her effect either. But if you have a level 4 monster in your hand, actually we don't run any level 6s, so if you have a level 4 monster in your hand, you can make any of our level 7 synchros, such as a Black Rose, which is very useful against the pendulums, Moonlit, and Clearing, very good, and then also Leo, not whatever I just said, is definitely very useful, just using one of your level 7s, whether you have it in your hand or whatnot. and just helps out a lot. But it's a really good field with clearing and making this guy. This guy's a big rank 7 that you want to make. Level 5 Hell monsters, including your own, cannot attack, so clearing cannot attack, but once per turn during either player's turn, you can detach and negate the effects of all face-up monsters. That has less attack than this card until the end of the turn. Very, very useful effect, just being able to negate the field. If they summon more monsters afterwards, their effect will not be negated, but that's why clearing is really decent to have on the field as well. And then of course we have Dracosac and Big Eye, just more rank 7s. And then for level 4s, Bahamut Sark, which you can make with Noten because he's a water monster. We will then summon out Abyss Trite, and Trite's effect is if it's destroyed and sent to graveyard, you can summon a Mermail monster from your graveyard. Dark Rebellion XD, Dragon, 1/1 Castile, and Abyss Dweller are all in there as well, just generic rank 4 plays. And so that is it pretty much for the deck. It's definitely very powerful. It has a lot of stun potential, has a lot of destruction in the deck. We'll see how it does. I mean, I really want to see if this deck could actually put in Gradles, but I think it would just be way too hard and it'd be too complicated and wouldn't work out all that well. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this deck. Again, tell me what you guys think of this deck. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys later.